All right, if you were to go on Google and write in Edgewater, Florida, bad neighborhoods, this neighborhood comes up every single time. Florida Shores. Some people say never buy here. Others say it's the best value left in Edgewater. And most people talking about it have never actually driven through it though. Today, Rachel and I are on location driving Florida Shores street by street. And by the end of this video, you should know whether this is Edgewater's worst neighborhood or if it's the most misunderstood. All right, and if you're ever thinking about buying in Edgewater, you need to know these things. Where is Edgewater located? Why Florida Shores can be referred to as Edgewater's worst? Why most people get it wrong? Who Florida Shores is actually for? Who should avoid Florida Shores? And then what are some comparable options, which are things that we're going to talk about today. Hey there, if you're new to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in New Smyrna Beach or surrounding areas like Edgewater, then you have come to the right place. My name is Matt Ekoff. I'm a local real estate expert and the creator of Living in New Smyrna Beach channel. I'm joined today by my beautiful wife, Rachel Ekoff, and we help people make smart moves, whether it's beachside, mainland, or places like Edgewater that they don't always get talked about honestly. Listen, we get phone calls, emails, text messages, Zoom invites every day from people just like you wanting to move to the beach or wanting to sell. So whether it be in 2 days, 20 days, or 200 days, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to help you move to the beach. Please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe so you get all the updates and notifications about New Smyrna Beach and surrounding areas like Edgewater have to offer. Let's get started.
All right, so let's talk about where we are for just a second. We are in Edgewater, specifically in Florida Shores. Florida Shores is one of Edgewater's largest and oldest neighborhoods. It is located just inland, west of US 1 and east of I-95, made up mostly of homes that were built in the 1960s to the 1990s. So lot sizes, home styles, and various upkeep here, it varies a lot home by home, sometimes street by street even, in Edgewater. So it's not a standard like you would find in like a master build community. Everything is going to be different. There is no HOAs here. So you're going to have a lot of different people who have different levels and standards for their house than you would normally find in something like an HOA style community. So example, you've got a house here right next to another house over here, and they have very different ideas on what they want for their specific upkeep of their homes. And you're going to find a lot of this. You're not going to find like a tract style home where things are consistently house by house by house. Everything has a different style. Like I said, some were built in 1960, some were built in 1990. You just don't know what you're going to get. So it's really important that you're researching streets, house sizes and styles that you're looking for, and be willing to possibly renovate something on one of those streets. So let's also talk about price point. You've got houses that run from $350,000 all the way to $650,000, and everything's going to vary. So you might want to really consider your street and your house price point before researching a little more in Edgewater.
All right, so let's talk about what people get wrong about Florida Shores. This is what the internet gets wrong. Not all streets are created equal. We've already talked about that. Florida Shores is not one thing. Some streets flood, some don't. Some blocks are rough, others are quiet and have pride of ownership streets. And like you can see behind me right here, you cannot judge this neighborhood from a map or a Reddit thread. Renovated homes exist and they're solid. We've shown and sold beautifully renovated homes in Florida Shores. Again, you can see behind me, we got two gorgeous houses with huge, nice oak trees, new roofs, new plumbing, new electrical systems, solid bones. And so if you're willing to be selective, there are still good buys here. There are still some opportunities to buy low, renovate, and sell high. Florida Shores is often one of the most affordable ways to own a single family home near the beach, because we are only 15 minutes from New Smyrna and 15 minutes from the beach. In fact, some areas in Florida Shores are closer to the beach than other areas in New Smyrna Beach, like Sugar Mill Country Club or Venetian Bay. You can be really, really close to the beach here. So for buyers priced out of beachside or Port Orange, this is often where the conversation shifts. All right, so let's talk about why people call Florida Shores Edgewater's worst. All right, so I'm gonna be direct here. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Let's start with the 4 reasons why people warn you about Florida Shores, because ignoring them would be irresponsible for you and for me as well. So let's talk about number 1, the inconsistency. Like Rachel was saying, you have a crazy mix of houses, lot sizes, how well they take care of them, yard spaces, landscaping. Behind me is a good example. This is a beautiful home, great oak trees, nice oversized yard. And then behind me, we have something that hasn't been taken care of quite as well. You can see fully remodeled homes, and then right next to that one, you can see one that hasn't been touched in like 40 years. And for buyers coming from HOA neighborhoods and newer developments, this can be really uncomfortable. So let's talk about number 2, and this is a big one. And this one is probably the main reason why Florida Shores has such a bad name is the flood zones, okay? This is something that we talk about a lot on this channel, flood zones, and it's something that Florida Shores will show up consistently when we have bad storms, even on Orlando's news, Daytona's news, because the flood zones here are not good. And we talk about this a lot. So we're looking for X and X500, but there are a lot of homes that those don't fall into. Parts of the Florida Shores fall into AE flood zones, and we talk about stay away from anything that ends in an E because you have higher insurance costs and some serious scrutiny from lenders if you're getting a loan. So, and again, other parts are X and X500, which makes a huge difference, but it's still, this all gets lumped together, so we got to make sure that we're choosing the right street and the right block. All right, so number 3 is older housing stock. Now, many of the homes here were built before modern building codes, so that doesn't mean that they're bad homes. It just means that the inspections matter more here than they do anywhere else. So we're making sure that we go under inspection and we get the right ones. I have those contacts, of course, and I've lost contracts because of inspection, but we got to protect you. I mean, that's my job here. So, and the number 4 we're talking about is no HOAs. Now, no HOA is a pro for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like HOAs, but it also means that there's no enforcement here. So if you want perfect lawns, you want matching fences and strict rules, Florida Shores is not your neighborhood. All right, so we're out of the field now. We're going to talk about who Florida Shores is for. So what are the buyers that are looking at this? So this neighborhood isn't for everyone, and that's okay. But I think it's a good fit if you fall into a couple categories. So the categories I think is if you're a cash buyer, because cash is king and you can go farther with your money there for sure. I think if you're willing to do renovations, there's going to be some return on investment for sure. And there's a lot of opportunities to do some significant renovations.
Yeah, and if that's your thing, if you're ready to go renovate or like flip a house, I think Edgewater is your perfect buy.
Speaking of that, I think that, if you're looking for value over polish, if you're looking for something that's not complete, because you're going to pay on the higher end for some of those houses. We were in front of the 2 houses that were really nice oak trees and things like that. We turn on the other side and that thing had been worked on in 40 years. And so you're going to pay a lot more money for the one that's been renovated. But if you have the skill set and the vision, maybe not even the skill set, honestly, because I don't have the skill set on a lot of that stuff, but I do have the vision on a lot of those things. And I know the right people to do the renovations. So I definitely would say looking for value over polish. And also I think, an investor or a long-term home, an investor, because they can flip and they can probably buy, you can do really well because Florida Shores is so freaking huge. I mean, this is, blocks and blocks and blocks. I think it's actually Volusia County's 2nd largest community.
Yeah, Florida Shores is a giant community, and it's not anything like the other communities around us. I mean, it is almost its own little city within Edgewater. Mm-hmm. It's a giant place. But what about being comfortable evaluating flood zones?
So flood zones is a big thing, obviously, in Edgewater, and you're going to see that's where it's going to make national news sometimes because there's some areas that are completely underwater. So navigating this is important, that, okay, let's say you find the perfect house, but it's in a flood zone AE. Well, maybe it's a flood zone AE, but maybe this house has been lifted, and so it's just zoned for this area, but the house is much higher than everybody else. I mean, sorry for your neighbors, but you want to be the highest house in the neighborhood. If you got neighbors surrounding you that are a lot lower, then that sucks for them, but it's awesome for you. So, you have to be like you said, you got to be comfortable evaluating the flood zones, and that's something that I can definitely help out with because that's very similar to Corbin Park. Corbin Park in New Smyrna Beach has some of those same things that, a lot of that area is and not necessarily flood zone, but, not the right flood code. But if you know the right house and it's built up, you can find something phenomenal there.
So high and dry in certain areas, but there are other areas that people look on paper and they just don't realize, oh, that's going to be a problem.
And I'm the one that
storm.
And I'm the one that says, that avoid this at all costs. So I'm
if it's AE, escape the deal.
Yeah, I mean, get out of it. So again, who's this deal good for? It's for a cash buyer. If you're comfortable for evaluating flood zones with me, if you're willing to do renovations, that's fantastic. If you're looking for value over polish, talk about that. An investor is great because you can make a lot of money. And then, a long-term homeowner. I mean, I would say the majority of people there are long-term homeowners. You get a lot of bang for your buck. You're still within proximity to everything that you want that New Smyrna Beach has to offer. In fact, Florida Shores is closer to a lot of New Smyrna Beach amenities like Canal Street and Flagler Avenue and the beach and the Intracoastal than a lot of the houses that are in New Smyrna Beach. So, the proximity in location is phenomenal. So let's be honest. You probably shouldn't buy in Florida Shores and Edgewater if you're risk averse, for sure.
Yeah.
My best friend Travis, there's no risk in his life ever at any point in time. Travis should not move to it. Should not move to Florida Shores and Edgewater. So if you're risk averse, if you don't want to think about flood insurance and any potential flooding at all, this is just too big of a risk for you. And I'll tell you, it's a big risk. But again, navigating and knowing the areas. But if flood is like just out of the question, and that you're going to have flood insurance, which flood insurance is not the same. Let's just say real quick, flood insurance is not the same as regular homeowners insurance. Okay, homeowners insurance, you pay a deductible that you set up front, and you pay this deductible to have things fixed. Flood insurance is usually 3 to 5% of the value of the home. That's your deductible. So the deductible for a flood insurance can be very, very high. Some people want to get away from flood insurance all the way together. So not good for those people. If you need or like or have had in the past HOA enforcement and you like that, this isn't the place. Look, you can find gnomes in the yard. You can find
no conformity.
Yep,
to
none.
Florida Shores.
Yep, you can have a pink house next to a green house next to a white house. Like there is, the HOA. Now, again, HOA is good and bad. These are all relative things. But and then also, if you don't want renovation surprises, you don't want change orders, you don't want to open up a wall, you don't want to take out a roof or an air conditioning system and realize there's other things, because it is a flood area. A lot of it is. The homes are older. There's gonna need to be some stuff, and if you buy even a renovated home, make sure that we're getting that home inspection, because there's always surprises, and people do things on the cheap, especially GCs and especially investors. They see something, they ignore it, and absolutely.
We know that from personal experience.
So this isn't, again, I said this before we were out in the field, this isn't fear-based, it's fit-based. So what is the right fit for people? Let's compare Florida Shores to other options. If some of the things that we talk about are just like, no way, off the table, let's talk about some of the other options. So for the same budgets, buyers often compare Florida Shores to mainland New Smyrna Beach. We've already talked about that for price points. Corbin Park is actually a really good example because it's right off 44. It's very convenient, everything. There is some flood zones. The houses are a little bit older, but they are high and dry. Streets can get damp when it rains a lot. We actually, during one of our biggest storms, we drove through that area, and the houses were high and dry, but man, those yards are under water. Yeah. So, also entry-level Port Orange is very comparable to Edgewater, except you're farther away from the beach. In Edgewater, even if you're right by the pavilion, you're taking Dunlawton. That's a hard street to drive through. I mean, stoplights all the time. So again, I think the thing is, each one of these things that we just mentioned come with a trade-off. Price versus flood risk versus lifestyle versus long-term appreciation. All these things are things to consider. But there is no universal best. It's only what's best for you. And so that's why we wanted to do this. And Florida Shores is too big of a community and too close to everything that we cover, including we cover Edgewater, as you know. So it was something that we had to get, that we had to talk about. And we're not trying to be negative. We're just trying to be real.
Yeah, we just want to put out facts, like the actual facts about Edgewater and Florida Shores, because there are some fantastic homes. There are some great areas, but like you said, some of the key things you have to look out for is renovation surprises and flood zone.
So the question is Edgewater's Florida Shores the worst?
The worst neighborhood? I don't think it's the worst neighborhood.
No, it's not the worst neighborhood. It's one of the easiest places to make a bad decision if you don't know what you're doing.
And then it could easily become.
And that's why it's so complicated. And that's why we want to bring it up. Buy the wrong street, buy the wrong flood zone, buy the wrong house, and you'll absolutely hate it. And you'll tell everybody that you hate it. And there's plenty of people that are in that position, which is why this is so debatable.
It's such a bad rap from a lot of people that live over there or have lived over there, was because they did exactly what you just said. They didn't have the right guidance. They didn't choose the right street. They didn't find the right house that was not going to be in a flood zone, and they were gravely disappointed. And that just leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. Yeah,
but I think that if you buy carefully with local guidance, I don't know who that could be, but with local guidance, I think it can be one of the best values left in the area and as close to the beach. In fact, Edgewater, I know, is known to be one of the most affordable coastal cities in Florida. So there are some opportunities. You just have to make the smart choices when making those opportunities. So listen, if you want more videos like this, tap the bell, hit subscribe, tap like, leave a comment, tell us what areas that you want us to cover that maybe we haven't covered before. Listen, because we get phone calls, emails, text messages, Zoom invites every day from people just like you wanting to move to the beach. So whether that be 2 days, 20 days or 200 days, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to help you move to the beach. Until next time, thanks for joining us today on Edgewater's Worst.